Hey there, Sylvia Peterson here. I teach happiness. Happy Wednesday to you. It is day 5 of my countdown to my 60th birthday. And continuing with the theme of sharing stories of what I have let go, today I'm going to tell you my story of how I let go of drinking alcohol. I stopped drinking in 2015, so it's been 6 years. I might have an occasional Prosecco, maybe once or twice a year. So the first thing I'll tell you is I enjoyed alcohol most of my life. I was a Scotch drinker, I was a red wine drinker, I was a connoisseur of both. At one point, I had 2 wine coolers in my house in Issaquah, Washington, and 3 wine clubs. I could go on and on. I have 2 fun Scotch stories to share with you, just to let you know how much it meant to me at one point in time and how much I enjoyed it at one point in time. My first Scotch story is the way I had acquired the taste for it. My mother was a homemaker, my dad was an insurance salesman, and every night when he got home, my job was to make his Scotch drink. So we were very well trained. My mother was a very good I think she was a drill sergeant in another lifetime. So as soon as I heard the key in the door, I knew that was my time to get up and go make Scotch for Dad. So when he'd sit down, I could hand him his Scotch drink. Somebody else handed him the newspaper. It was quite a life. And so I would stir his Scotch, which was Scotch on ice with a splash of water, and then I would lick my finger. And so over time, I acquired a taste for Scotch pretty early in my life. My second Scotch story is when I was working at Starbucks. I was very new at Starbucks. The year was 2000. And the executive team was trying to figure out if we were going to continue building drive-thrus. Howard Schultz was not convinced that it was good for the brand. And so I organized an executive group to fly down to Southern California, tour drive-through stores so that they could come back and report back to Howard so they can make a decision. So if you've ever toured restaurants and you're the organizer, you know it's like herding cats. So making sure everybody gets to the airport on time, that we all get on the flight on time, that there's a rental car, that there's a clear agenda, there's timing, and that you make it to every location. You got to say, okay, it's time to go to the next one, because of course they would love to sit there and chat with all the baristas. And baristas are so happy to see these people from corporate. And so the tour went really well. At the end of the day, we are back at the airport and we sit at the bar. And Howard Behar asks me, Sylvia, what would you like to drink? And I was brand new at Starbucks. I had no idea what the protocol was. So I thought about it for a moment, and then I decided I would have what I wanted. And so I ordered Scotch on the rocks. And Howard Behar is also a Scotch drinker, and you know how he gets when he has that twinkle in his eye. He was delighted, he was surprised, and we were bonded for life. And I tell you those stories just so that you know I had a long history with alcohol. But in 2014, I saw a naturopath because I had this rash that I wanted to get rid of. And she put me on an elimination diet. And the elimination diet lasted for 8 weeks. So no alcohol for 8 weeks and no a bunch of other things. And what happened in those 8 weeks is I became a morning person. I've never been a morning person. I moved to the West Coast to get an extra 3 hours on my morning so I could be a working person. And so all of a sudden at 5:30 in the morning, my eyes would open up, clear, without any fog, without any kind of, you know what I'm talking about. And so that was interesting, but I was still super excited about getting back to my red wine. And so the 8 weeks came and went, and I started drinking red wine, and the first time I tasted it, it was awful. I thought, well, maybe it's just a bad bottle. So of course, I kept trying, and it was terrible tasting, and then it interrupted my sleep. Because you know, when you get to be a certain age, you fall asleep well, but you wake up like at 3 o'clock in the morning, ready to play. And when I had stopped drinking, that all went away. I slept really well. So anyway, I played with it back and forth, and because it was hard, because I had not, I didn't think that I was going to give up alcohol, because it's so social, and it's so much of a fabric of how we celebrate and how we do all kinds of things. But those are just good marketers that told us that story. And so in 2015, I finally, after this going back and forth, said, why are you drinking? Tell me, what is it about it that you desire, what is it that you think you desire from alcohol? And I didn't have any good reasons. You may have good reasons. And remember, my last video was about no judgment. I do not judge you. You can do whatever you want. But for me, it was easy to give it up. My husband doesn't drink. So all those years I would drink wine after work. I was drinking alone. I mean, I wasn't alone, but I was the only one drinking. I was so happy when I met Dan that he did not drink, that he was going to be my designated driver forever. This was before Uber. And so, you know, those couples that argue about whose turn it is to be a designated driver, we never had that. It was always the same. So anyway, I invite you to think about not just alcohol, but what is it that you've always done that no longer serves you? And take a good hard look. It may not be alcohol. It could be buying stuff. Whatever it is that you do that you've done all of your life that is no longer serving you. And maybe it's time to let go of that. Try it as an experiment. Do it for 30 days. See what happens. All right. Let me know if you have had a letting go alcohol story. I'd love to hear it. All right. Bye for now.